There's good old Traveler. And here we are coming into the Great Harbour Cay fuel dock and the little basin through a man-made 80-foot wide channel. So through here is pretty narrow. 80 feet seemed pretty narrow for a 25-foot wide catamaran, and pretty shallow for us. It's our first time really going in shallow water, maneuvering in shallow water. We got used to it after a few more days in the Bahamas. So looking back on it, it's a piece of cake, but at the time it was looking a little dicey. And we sped up a lot. No, not really. Okay, here's the fuel dock, and dang it if there weren't two people already there. That took a long time. As you notice, maybe you don't see it in the pictures, but cars come up through the fuel. So he has to handle people with cars and boats. But we got it done and headed back. And it's a blind turn, so you got to watch out just in case somebody comes zooming around the corner when you're trying to get out. Of course, that would never happen, right? Oh, no, it does happen sometimes. So, thankfully we made a wide turn and missed that guy. So when you're coming out, you see the wide expanses of the banks, and all that water is like 5 to 10 feet deep in that area. So from there we headed up to Frozen Cay and Little Harbour Cay, and we found a nice beach and let the dogs swim. Skipper likes swimming more than Pilot. So Bridget found a bunch of conch shells and grabbed a few. They were dead conchs, you know, we didn't kill any conchs. But pretty cool shot of them swimming. And if you notice in all the shots where I'm walking the dogs, Pilot is on the shore and Skipper's run swimming in the water. He just loves to do that. He has kind of a hopping movement you'll see when he gets the underwater shot. So in these out islands, usually the beaches were all to yourself. So many beaches, everybody doesn't have to share. Now coming into Exuma Park, we went into the North Mooring Field on Waterick Cay, which is a place I'd recommend because the park headquarters are there and they're really nice people at the park headquarters. We had to circle around a little bit waiting for our mooring assignment. This would be our first try to connect to a mooring ball. So we were a little worried about that. There's the ball. By now we had about 10 people watching us on the boats nearby. So our first time with an audience on top of it all. we had a good approach and good direction and got it hooked on. Then we had a acceleration. We were really impressed with ourselves. It did take a while to hook up the mooring line to the bridle because it just wasn't set up well. And we changed that by the next time we board. Now, the next morning we left pretty early to get to Farmer's Key and got in there, just spent 10 hours just sleeping, and then went on to Georgetown, and we're in Elizabeth Harbor now, and that's Goat Key. And I think it's about 6 feet of water where we are right now. You can see the water clouding up from where the anchor hit. It's crystal clear, really beautiful. It's all just, in fact, most of Bahamas there is just, it's really soft sand everywhere. So even when you run aground, you just kind of slowly stop. I think we hit the ground once the whole time we were there. So we let the dogs out. We don't let them out when we're anchoring, just in case something goes wrong. We let them out and they go running around to see what happens. So they're,
Bring that to me.
Skipper found his own toy. I guess we didn't have toys out for him, so he found one in the kitchen and played keep away with us. He just dares you to come after him. But the only way you can get it back is to trade him with something else or corner him. So Bridget made it a habit of taking dogs into the beach one at a time, because Pilot really likes to be on his own, doesn't like his little brother interrupting his water time. So you can see our boat out there. We're 500 yards off the beach maybe. When we got there, there was one other boat, and after a couple of days we had 5 other boats there, which is typically what happens. People see a couple of boats and they say, "Ah, it looks like a good place." Pretty soon you got a crowd. And that's Bridget's pride and joy. She picked that out online. $100. The kayak worked really well. Oh, back on the boat. Skipper's waiting around for his chance. They really had an easy time getting around on the boat. In fact, they would fly around and around and around chasing each other and go sliding down. We were afraid they're going to slide right off the back a few times. But it never happened. Not yet, at least. This is when we really found the dinghy useful. We used it a lot in Elizabeth Harbor. If you're going to be there, you want a dinghy that's good for long distances, because you may have a couple of miles or more between your anchorage and the town, or to go visit a friend or see a site somewhere, because Stocking Island and Great Exuma are a mile and a half apart in some spots. It can get rough in there too. Here we are on a fuel run, which is a typical thing you'd have to do. There is no fuel dock, or at least not one that's working when we were there. So we had to go into town and go to the gas station and get diesel. There's Skipper at the beach now. He gets his one-on-one time too. Now this is a little before the other ones. This is when I first blew up the kayak, and I got assigned to test it. And I liked it. It worked much better than I thought it was going to work. You could even stand up on it, at least for a little bit. It was very stable. And once you got the seats adjusted, it was fairly comfortable. And I was sure with the dogs and their sharp paws would end up popping it, because they would jump into it and scramble out of it, but it held up. The water's nice and clear and shallow, so I went and worked on cleaning the hull. I didn't know Bridget had shot this part, but I spent a few days just working on a little bit at a time. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned for the next one, and take care.